Hi, I'm Ben Casnocha, an entrepreneur and author from Silicon Valley. There's something unique about an in-person presentation. An in-person presentation can inspire people in a way text simply can't. And so I love visiting audiences around the world and connecting with people in real life. One of the most memorable and yet challenging events I've ever done was to a Muslim boarding school in suburban Jakarta. I stepped out of the limousine that they had sent to my hotel into this hot, muggy Indonesian weather and just saw a sea of students and teachers and local business people all dressed in kind of traditional garb and none of whom really spoke English, and yet who were all wearing these pins that had an American flag and my face on top of the flag. And it taught me that if you present themes in the right way, if you make an effort to understand who the audience is and speak to them in a way that will resonate, you can talk about anything with anyone.
Right, if these people exhibit some of the same awesome entrepreneurial tendencies that my tech friends and I exhibit, shouldn't they be under this umbrella of entrepreneur too? Maybe entrepreneurship is more of a life idea than a business one. Maybe it's more of a way of looking at the world than it is a discrete description of someone who starts themselves a new business.
So, we've all heard speakers that are kind of all charisma, but no real content. And I try to bridge those two worlds by both, inspiring an audience, trying to share some from my own personal journey and talk about why I'm optimistic about the future, but also share some real practical, specific, substantive ideas about how we can improve ourselves, improve our companies, and ultimately improve the world at large.
We remember Jeff Bezos and Steve Jobs, but we forget about all the allies and lieutenants and networks they built up around them. In fact, entrepreneurs are killer networkers. They're amazing at building networks of people who can support the work they do.
What is the mistake that most people make when they take risk?
I think most people have a sense that risk is something you can avoid. In fact, you can't avoid risk. Every breakout career opportunity has risk. So the real question is, how do you manage risk? How do you take?
Guarantee.
There's no guarantee. And I think if you look at, we profile a number of people in the book who have led these kind of adaptive entrepreneurial careers, like Sheryl Sandberg, for example, who started volunteering in India, helping the poor, and then was a management consultant, and then was at the World Bank, and then pivoted into the technology industry, and over the course of her career took many intelligent risks and sought out those opportunities that had some risk but also had tremendous upside.
Imagine you're trying to fill a critical position at your company. You're a hiring manager, and you've brought into your office an all-star candidate. He's super smart. He has tons of ideas for how to improve your company. Best of all, he has lots of relevant experience. But then he starts to tell you some things that worry you. He tells you he wants to build his personal brand. He tells you he loves updating his LinkedIn profile regularly. He tells you he wants to do a lot of networking outside of your company. And most worrying of all, he tells you that he doesn't like to stay at any one job for more than a couple of years. He says he gets restless, he always wants to be learning, he always wants to be changing. How does this job candidate make you feel?
A lot of employers are scared of these sorts of employees, right? Do I really want them having a LinkedIn profile? Won't that make them more findable by other companies? Or do I want them taking risks on the job? Isn't that a potential HR issue? Or do I want them going out and building their network on company time? The truth is, you want them doing those things. The best people do those things.
If your company isn't filled with these kinds of entrepreneurial, adaptive people, your company will not be entrepreneurial and adaptive.
Reed and I really believe that there's going to be a new pact, a new compact that defines the relationship between employer and employee. Because the old compact, this idea that an employee shows up to work totally untrained, totally unentrepreneurial, and pledges lifelong loyalty to your company in exchange for being trained and being told what to do and for utter job security. That relationship is disintegrated. And what's replaced it is a new compact that's based on alliance more than loyalty. It's an alliance that acknowledges that the creative, adaptive superstars that you want to hire in your company are going to have certain entrepreneurial inclinations that need to be cultivated, that need to be embraced, that need to be channeled to benefit your company. I'm not a full-time speaker. And the reason I'm not a full-time speaker is I think it's really important to live in the world, to work at an office, to experience the things that most people experience on a day-to-day basis, so that when you do show up to make a presentation and give a speech, you can speak in a way that resonates with people who live in the real world. Whether I'm speaking to 3,000 people in a huge convention center or to a group of 4, uninspired college students, the goal is the same. If you can change the life of even one person, that has a ripple effect that can change the world. For entrepreneurs, impact is the drug of choice. And that's why if I can have an impact on even one person, that provides the ultimate satisfaction. It's why I do what I do.